Actually, Christmas in Iceland is quite different than everywhere else in the world.
Just over a week ago, I found out that people in Poland open their presents on Christmas Eve, and I was shocked. I made a full video about it, and I thought, right, okay, so Santa doesn't only have 24 hours to deliver these presents, he has 2 days. But then when I looked more into it, I found out that other countries celebrate Christmas not only on Christmas Eve, but January, September and different months. So I was like, having a moment. So when I seen this video about the 13 Santas, I ended up going down a wormhole and I was reading about the history of Christmas all over the world, and I just had to know everything. So without going too much into it, because I only know the basics, and the basics is a lot of information, but basically they've got this witch who eats naughty children. She's got 13 sons who are like the 13 Santas, and they come the 13 nights before Christmas and they leave small gifts for good children, and for bad children they leave potatoes. Hello, I would welcome a potato. But they also play different pranks like peeking through windows, stealing sausages and licking spoons. So there's this giant cat who eats children if they haven't received any clothes before Christmas. It's quite frightening. As I was looking into the history of these stories, it came up several times that they thought that this myth came from the fact that people used to work in mills, shearing sheep and making fabrics, and if they worked hard enough they would receive socks or some item of clothing for Christmas as a bonus. And if they didn't work hard enough and they didn't receive these socks or clothing, then they believed that they were going to be eaten by this giant cat. So obviously this was just a way to manipulate, brainwash and fearmonger the peasants. After that, for whatever reason, I started watching videos about the history of Christmas in Scotland, which I already knew, but I still sat for 3 hours and watched these videos anyway. As most people already know, Christmas is a stolen holiday. It was actually a pagan celebration that was basically taken over by Christians in order to convert pagans into Christianity. The more I looked into Christmas history all over the world, the more I realised that Christmas was actually created, and the stories of Christmas were created to basically emotionally blackmail people and say, you have to be a good person or you'll get a potato. Oh my god, don't give me any potatoes, it's only my favourite food. Also in the UK, back in the day, it was like if you're good you get a tangerine or an orange because they were really hard to get, and if you were bad you got coal. They literally used coal fires, like you could use coal to keep warm. It's not exactly a threat. But the poor kids over in Iceland and other European countries, they're thinking that they're going to get ate if they don't get a pair of socks for their Christmas. I mean, that is traumatic. That being said, the whole point in me looking into the history of Christmas all over the world when I found out about Poland opening their presents on Christmas Eve is because I am obsessed with Christmas movies, and every time it's like, oh, Santa's here on Christmas Day, we're opening our presents on Christmas Day, and it's always the same story, and it's not fair. Like, there's people in other countries who watch these movies and they're not represented, like their history isn't represented, and it's unfair. I even ended up watching a few Polish Christmas movies and they didn't open their presents on Christmas Eve. So they're not even represented in their own country. I've seen several Spanish Christmas movies, their stories aren't represented, and for the life of me I can't find an Australian Christmas movie either. Like, not everybody has a white Christmas, you know, some people are lying out in the sun having a barbecue on Christmas Day. And I really want to see everything, and I know that Christmas is used basically to manipulate people, but I just really love Christmas. I love getting presents, I love buying people presents, I love the lights, I love Christmas trees, I love the decorations, but I just wish that Christmas movies would include more people. I would just love to watch Christmas films and see people from all over the world sharing all their different traditions, instead of just the same thing. Like, people are just not being represented. And I know you think it's not that deep, but it kinda is that deep, because I love watching Christmas movies and then kids from other countries are watching it and they're just not represented at all, and it's not fair. Anyway, rant over. Hopefully I get to see some amazing foreign Christmas movies that blow my mind.